All right, it's time to do the 7 most surprising things about Argentina. I think we're gonna get a little deeper here than most videos that are out there because I'm Argentine. My parents are from Argentina. Both of them are. My great-grandparents came from Ukraine, settled in Argentina, and I've got a new episode out on my time in Argentina. My time is searching for myself, my identity. It's a little neurotic. I hope you'll watch it. But in the meantime, let me give you my observations about Argentina, and we'll go a little deep on each of them. First and foremost, mate. Mate culture is for real in Argentina. It's they call it yerba mate. Sometimes when you travel with it, it looks like weed. But it's a tea. It gives you an up. It's like quite energizing, but doesn't give you like all the same kind of like lows that eventually coffee does. But there are rules with mate. There are rules on the temperature that the water should be in. My cousin Irina swears by 87 degrees. I assume that's gotta be Celsius. Right? Yeah, that's gotta be Celsius. Okay, the person that starts out pouring the water is the person that will pour the water as you pass the mate around a circle. So they'll be in charge of refilling the mate and then passing it on, and that person will drink the full cup and or the gourd, because usually this is made out of gourd. Once they're done finishing their portion, their cup full, they'll pass it back to the person with the thermos. And so on and so forth. And mate is more than just a pick-me-upper. It's more than just like a beverage that people use to stay alert during the day, which is certainly one of the ways and reasons that people drink mate. But it's also incredibly social. People use it in this like very much like something that's being passed around a circle. You're telling stories. I've gone to so many different events where until 3 or 4 in the morning, I'll have done nothing but talk to people as we pass around the mate. And it's healthy for you. I mean, obviously in moderation. Number 2 most surprising thing about Argentina is the way in which people prioritize life. I feel like because I grew up in the US, I know a lot about this world of wealth accumulation. We go into the workforce from an early age and we're expected to make money and climb the economic ladder. Well, in Argentina, for a variety of reasons, and partially it's because they haven't had the privilege to do so because they keep getting screwed over by a government left and right that comes in and steals money from them. And so oftentimes people like don't have the ability to dream about going out and making something for themselves because their dreams and their hope has been stripped from them. That's the saddest thing about the economic and political crises that Argentines constantly find themselves in. But one of the things that comes out positively from all of these disasters that have happened in Argentina economically and politically has been that I feel like it's led people to really prioritize these things that really matter, which are the human connection. I don't know, it really doesn't matter how much money you have or whatnot. It's like, I remember going to where my dad's from and I went out with my cousin Ivan and his friends, and all of his friends had different levels of wealth and money, but it didn't matter. We slept on bunk beds, we all came together. Some people pitched in less, some people pitched in more, it didn't matter. The point was that they were coming together. Some people were only able to like spend this amount, like the amount that they had earned, they were able to spend on this one event of coming together, but it didn't matter because their priorities were very clear. It's like the Argentines are gonna come together and be social and drink mate together above all else. It doesn't matter how much you beat them down or like how much corruption there is or how terrible one government is over another. You know the Argentines are going to be social, and I really appreciated that, especially coming from the US culture of kind of like individualism and trying to attain more and more and more wealth. The third most interesting and surprising thing about Argentina is the language. It's very much alive. There's a type of street language called lunfardo. It comes from the Italian word lunfa, which I think it means thief. But basically, lunfardo is the street language. Like when my parents who left in the 1970s go back to Argentina, that taxi drivers immediately know that they're from 1970s Argentina just by the words that they're using and the fact that their language hasn't evolved with the existing evolution of the language. And it can be quite regional. Where my dad's from, for example, they use the word huevón, which is like actually much more Chilean, but they also use words like culiado. That's my favorite one. You know, it's basically like butt fucker. But you could use it definitely in a mean way, like ese culiado. But you can also just use it in passing, like don't be such a little, you know, don't be like, what is it, like, oh, fuck off, or like, kind of like, oh, you're being kind of, no, it's not even that serious. It's more like, ese culiado, oh, like that dude. You can even use it like that dude. Because of the Italian descent of all the Argentines, I think 40% of the culture is of Italian descent because, you know, at the time there were a lot of Italians that were migrating and they found a home in Argentina. Well, you know, because of that, you can, the sense of humor, the way of speaking, it's all very dynamic. The fourth most interesting and surprising thing about Argentina, I think, is the food. The first thing we have to talk about the food is that Argentina has the best ice cream in the world. Sorry, Italians, but it's true. There are endless number of brands that serve the most creamy, delicious ice cream. Truly. You've got old school Freddo, Persico, Volta. You've got places like Luciano, Italia. These are all really well-known places in Argentina and people have their favorites. I actually have my favorite. I think the best ice cream in all of Argentina is at, drumroll, Cremo Lati. What a freaking amazing place. Highly recommend you get the dulce leche there. I mean, you should try all of these ice cream places and get the dulce leches and compare them. I do that all the time. For many years, Argentina has been known as the meat capital of the world, and I think it no longer is. I think the meat in Argentina no longer is deserving of the title of being the best meat in the world, at least not at restaurants. Sure, you can go to some of the best meat places like La Cabrera or Don Julio. These are some of the best known places in Buenos Aires, and you'll have a good steak meal. The experience is really cool. The waiters are like on point. All that's awesome. But the meat quality's gone down, and I've heard it's partially because the Argentines have started to export all their best meat. Now, the biggest exception to that is you'll never find better meat in the world than inside the asado. This is inside of like the private barbecue situation. Every single house in Argentina has a area set aside for doing barbecues. It's called like a quincho. It can kind of be this indoor-outdoor space, and Argentines take their meat very seriously. And I highly recommend that if you go to Argentina, get yourself invited to like an asado, because honestly, that is where you'll find the best meat in the world. The third thing I wanted to say about the food in Argentina, there is this one dish that in my opinion is the best dish in all of Argentina, and that is la Milanesa Napolitana. If you check out the longer form episode, I end up eating this huge Milanesa Napolitana in one part, which I think you should check out. The last thing I will say is about the World Cup. Man, the Argentines won the World Cup at the end of 2022, and you might say, oh, well, it's just a game. No, it's not just a game. The one thing that unites everyone is football, is soccer. And especially now with Messi, tail end of his career, having tried to win a World Cup, having tried so hard to win for Argentina and failed so many times, having been so successful at Barcelona, only to have just missed it a couple of times, gotten so close, but then to finally have won, especially during the economic and political crises that the Argentines were going through in that moment. It just finally was this moment that Argentina could breathe and say, yes, all of these ways that we've been so proud of our culture, and now we can finally express that pride out in the open with this huge, massive global event. It meant so much more than just football or a soccer game or a sporting event. It meant the world to the Argentines. Vamos, Argentina, campeones del mundo. Fuck yeah, maybe we'll do it again in 3 years. Okay, ciao.